Thanks for watching. Thanks for giving me the chance to talk on something that I love, which is powerlifting. And so I look forward to saying some things, and I hope some of them help in your journey of getting stronger. So a lot of what I'm going to say is from personal experience, and I've been powerlifting for on and off for 5 years, and I'm definitely okay for my age and my weight. I am absolutely okay. And so the things from my personal experience are pretty good on an intermediate level. And I did get together with, I don't know if you're familiar with Strong Lifts, but there's two starting powerlifting programs. There's Starting Strength with Mark Rippetoe and Strong Lifts 5x5 by Mehdi Hadim out of Belgium. And a few years back, I hooked up with Mehdi Hadim. He was, I did his starting Strong Lifts to get into it, and I ended up moderating his Strong Lifts Inner Circle, a paid community. So I have 2 years of moderating beginning and intermediate powerlifting community. I've seen thousands by moderating it. I've seen thousands of videos, and I've got to hear and work with some of the best powerlifters out there that came in and did interviews and did critiques and such. So for the basic setups of powerlifting, I'm really good at looking and seeing what could be better for your basic powerlifting. And so that's a little bit of where I'm coming from on it. And last year, my friend and I joined the 100% Raw. What a great up-and-coming federation. And everyone in it is absolutely supportive and amazing. And so I totally love being part of their federation for sure. So let's get into it, right? So overall ideals, before I get into some of the videos, overall ideas, the big takeaways from my talk right here is your goals are entirely achievable. Deadlift at 400 pounds, squat at 300 pounds, bench at 210, curl at 110. They're absolutely 100% achievable, and they are on the higher level of what people do for sure. If you look into the IPL, International Powerlifting League, and you look at some of their classifications of the levels of what people do at age and weight, those deadlift, squats, and bench are achievable for someone your age and your weight. People do it. It's a incredibly above average, but they are absolutely achievable. So don't let anyone tell you you can't make those weights right there, because it can be done. It absolutely can. What great goals to have for sure. And just know that they are of the upper level. So eventually when you start getting close to your goals, you got to find some of the best to tell you how to keep getting towards those goals, because they become more towards the upper level, but they are achievable, and it's awesome for sure. Love the process and focus on what you love, because this is, for me and for everyone, it's so multi-year, right? It takes so long to do things. You've got to love what you're doing. It's tough because without the fire and without the passion, you're never going to lift the big weights. And that same fire and that same passion and that same drive also makes us want things faster than they probably can come. So it's a double-edged sword. You'll never lift big weights without that unrelenting fire and passion. And then it's so frustrating because we want to keep adding weight in months when sometimes it takes years. So love the process, love the fire, love the passion, and just keep it going. And that's what I got to do. That's what everyone's got to do. All right. From what I've found is from beginning powerlifting is once your emotions have no obvious danger, it's all individual. Do what feels good. Your body will tell you if something is wrong. So always look to, there's two things. Like when you look at a lift, you can immediately tell when a lifter is doing a motion that's gonna make them snap. It feels good for them, but it's wrong, okay? And some of those things are like caving knees on the squat, rounded back on the deadlift, okay? It's like it feels good for them, but they're gonna hurt them. Those are danger movements. Once you get rid of those danger movements, then you got to listen to your body. So when you see great squatters, some of them have a wide stance. Some of them have a narrow stance. Deadlifters, the same thing. Some have a very narrow stance and some have a slightly wider stance. They're all doing safe motions, but they're listening to our body. So if we're within the realm of safety and we're trying to force ourselves to do a new technique, like obviously practice every technique to see if it's going to work. But there comes a time where you're safe, you're practicing a new technique, and it just doesn't feel right. Because we're all different. All our bodies are different. So give any new thing enough time to see if it's going to work, but then ultimately listen to your body. Because if you're safe and it feels good, that means it's going well. If you're safe but it feels bad, you might end up getting into the territory of it hurting because you're not using your body to the fullest degree. So once you have no danger movements from what I can see. Nothing that I see in your lifts is obviously going to be a snap or hurt you over the long run. So that's my best look at it. So now you're in the position of really getting in touch with your body and doing what feels good on the lifts. Okay. The fourth thing is I'd like you to research the eccentric lifting. So look it up on Google, eccentric movements. That means going slower on the down or the non-contracting. I'm going to talk about this a lot more later in detail. It's something that I'm doing, and I find that I feel like I am never in a position of hurting myself. It just feels more and more safe, and I'm getting a good workout. I'll talk about this a lot later. And at the very least, putting in some eccentric movements is going to, it's just tools in your toolbox for your lifting and your training. So it's something that you can just add in, and it's good, and it's going to get you to a next level, and you're going to see how much you like it. It's just there's no reason not to do a little bit of these, and some people like to do them a lot. So I'll talk about those later. Obviously, proper rest is very important. This is individual, and it is important. So you already mentioned to me that you're deadlifting heavy once a week and light once a week. That sounds great. Listen to your body. Everyone's different, and you do it enough times, you do it long enough, you're going to understand what the proper rest is, and it's different for everybody. I've gone through a couple times with my curling training where I could obviously feel two things. One, that I was doing it too many times a week, and the second time, I felt my body that I was doing it too much in one session. So those are the two different things. Number one, are you doing it too many times a week? And that's a little tougher to find. And then I noticed I was overloading too much in one session, and it was unbelievable the amount of soreness and destruction for the 2 days after I did a curl workout. So find your correct balance. You can do too much in one session, and you can do too many sessions a week. And that's individual, so really be in tune with your body to find that one. Typically, more rest is better from what I found. I've also found that strength fluctuates a lot with body weight. It is unbelievable how much stronger just being heavier can be, which is unfortunate in our weight classes, okay? And it's awesome to be able to lift heavier weight, but then all of a sudden you're getting to a body weight that's not sustainable for your life. And I mean, it's real tough. I was in my own personal journey, I was hanging around 170 pounds, and I was seriously doing squat, bench, and deadlift. And over the course of a year, I got up to 195 body weight. And that's too much for my frame. I got little bird bones from my grandfather. And so it was awesome because, man, my numbers were going through the roof. And I also started having acid reflux, and my cholesterol was off the charts from when I went to the doctors. And I just like, my stomach was all over the place, and it was like I said, it was getting heartburn, and it wasn't comfortable. But the strength went up, and then when I went back to more of a natural body weight for myself, my strength went down. And so I've noticed that strength fluctuates a lot with body weight, and it's so easy to just get heavier and lift more. And if people want to do that, they can absolutely do it. It's how some of the best strongmen do it. They just push all the maximums, right? And so that's something you want to figure out for yourself. Just where you want to be with your lifting. But I do notice this, and it's so saddening if we decide, like I decided, that I want to exist in the 170 area. And then it was so frustrating and so sad. I don't know if I'm ever going to push the amount of weight that I did when I was 195. So there is a trade-off there. So that's something to think about. And I could go into theories about why I think strength fluctuates a lot with body weight. It makes a lot of sense from a physics standpoint. I just know personally it does. So on your journey forward, understand that. And understand, like I did, if I want to exist at a lesser body weight, I might never be as strong as if I was heavier, and I have to live with that. And finally, once we maximize technique, so the first thing that happens when you lift, you went through this a couple of years ago when you started, you maximize your technique, and just by getting better technique, you can lift more weights. And also, the first thing that makes you do heavier weight even without growing muscle is neuromuscular activation, just your brain to muscle connection, just by doing it in the first 5 months or 6 months. They call these quote unquote newbie gains. Well, it's actually your body just learning how to lift heavy weights without even growing muscle. So we're going to see over the first 2 years, people maximize technique and they maximize their neuromuscular activation, and boy, do they get strong fast, and they make these incredible gains, and it's awesome. And then once your technique is good and once your body knows how to lift heavy weights, getting stronger is a slow and frustrating process. For the last year, I've been focused in on the strict curl because of 100% raw, and they love the strict curl, and so do I. And man, is it frustrating, because I just want to break barriers. And the problem is, these muscles only grow so fast. You can only get so strong without drugs, which we are. You can only grow so fast, and it's a slow and frustrating and lifelong process, but that's why we go and we love the process and we focus on what we love, because there's no magic and nothing fast once you maximize your technique and get neuromuscular activation. All right, so there's the extremely long introduction to it. I'll speed it up in post-production, and let's get on to some of the lifts. Okay, let's look at the bench right now. The first run through, I've already seen it, okay, so it's not a pure blind reaction, but I'm going to just do a second reaction as we go, then we'll go into the small parts of it. Alright, so good country song going in the background. I had to look it up, and I like it a lot. I'm more old school Garth Brooks country, and I really like Brad Paisley's Mud on the Tires is one of my favorite songs out of all genres, okay? So whatever music pumps you up, go for it. This one's pretty good. Alright, our setup is competition setup. I like that. We're going into the set with intention and focus. And this, so we're working on a competition setup right here. And it looks to be a very solid competition setup with a arch of the back better than usual. We are feet flat on the floor. Are we touching? As long as we got to make sure we're touching there. I assume we are. Up. Right place on the chest. Up. Right place on the chest. Good breathing. Yep, there. And down. That's a solid set. That's a solid set. So I'm wondering, how much rest did you have before the set? How much rest are you going to take out? The intensity and the focus is amazing, and the setup seems really strong, and it really seems like your shoulders are protected. All right, let's go into it a little more in depth. Okay, let's go into some specifics. So what I'd like to bring out here is number one. When you're trying to get stronger, you don't have to do your competition setup. In my mind, and this one is just me personally, I'd rather it be what's more comfortable and what's more supported. I think you said you had some tears in the shoulder, which is very scary, right? And especially me, I'm going to put it a lot on me. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me at a 45-year-old person that gets injured fairly easily. I try to keep everything as safe for me as possible. So I tend to think that there's a difference between competition setup and what's entirely safe for me. Now, if you feel supported in your competition setup, absolutely that's how you should bench. If that's what's keeping your shoulders good and taking the pressure off the I think it's the labrum and basically everything that's in the shoulder joint, I don't know the specific words, if your setup is keeping the pressure off those sensitive areas, keep doing it. If you find that not having the arch or taking your feet onto the balls of your foot there is easier on your shoulders, feel free to train sometimes like that. Like, you're perfect here. You absolutely know how to do a competition setup and you're really good at it. So if you train for strength in the safest way possible, and then the month before your competition, you relearn how to get an amazing competition setup, you can do that. If this setup right now for you is as stable as possible in the shoulders, keep it, okay? Then that's great. It's both competition and safe for you. Once again, what I'm saying is if something feels more comfortable, don't worry about getting stronger outside of competition style, because you can get that competition style locked in the last 1 or 2 months before a major meet. The next thing that we always say to our power lifters. All right. So, wait, that was fast. Okay. There. When you're going to go down now, everything in that joint right there should be locked in, right? And a lot of people get that locked in. It's individual, but a lot of people take that bar and they call what's called externally rotating. You see my hands going external? That's outside external rotation. So you've got your bar, and by putting a little bit of pressure in on the bar, rotating a little like that, it's gonna, so this one, screw my shoulder back into that ball. Your shoulder's a ball and socket, so you want that nice and tight. You don't want to be loose on it and then put weight, okay? So you want to get that in there, and a lot of people find it. Just a little bit of pressure on that bar really screws that shoulder in. And you're gonna feel, I feel it right now, right under my shoulder blades in the back. I'm screwing those shoulder blades together. And I'm not doing it because that's magic. I'm doing it in the overall idea that I want these, the ball and socket to be locked right in there so there's no movement and there's no tears. However you get that with your ball and socket in the shoulder, that's good. A lot of people have it by externally rotating and really concentrating on their back shoulder blades being like nice and tight and nice and into the bench, okay? But the reason we do that is to get that ball and socket screwed right in there, boom, and that's safe. All right, so that's the really get the, I'm not saying you're not doing that. I'm just saying that's what we always teach, so make sure you are eventually doing that. Also, currently, and this is different than 20 years ago or 15 years ago, the bar path is currently not taught as a straight up and straight down. They used to say that, right? They used to say, get that bar up and you want the path to go straight down and straight up. They still say that for deadlift and squat. Okay, they wanted this is not taught today. They wanted the bar right around nipple level and going straight down, touch right high on the pectorals, and then push straight up. None of the big power lifters that I know of right now are actually doing that. They're doing more of a, watch the cursor, a J, some sort of a J. And it really comes down to what's comfortable, and they found that this has more power. So if I were to do that, watch the cursor, the bar would be coming down to your sternum. Even if it's not straight down, it'd come down to your sternum, and then you would be pushing it actually at an angle back up. Okay, so a lot of people, some people, and I forget which powerlifters I heard this from, but they were national levels, are saying it's like going down a hill, and then when they say press, you're kind of pushing up a hill. You're not pushing straight up again, okay? So play around with that and see if you like it. Everything we're talking about is to see if it works for you. So I'm here to say that if you've ever heard that the bar should go straight down and straight up on the bench press, there are plenty of other elite powerlifters that say that is not the correct bar path. So you definitely can play with bar path down the hill to the sternum and back up the hill. So let's see where your bar path is. Okay. Yep, you see? Started here and you went down the hill. Okay, so you're naturally doing that. Sorry for wasting the time right now. There we go. So you're naturally going down the hill to the appropriate place on your sternum, whatever feels good. And now you're there. Now how are you going to press? Find your power. Don't be limited. Don't think you have to press straight up. Find your power. Many people have said the power is now to be going at a reverse J, or going up the hill. Find your power right now. How are your elbows? That's also incredibly personal. Your elbow, your bar width, and your elbow width too. So find your power right now as you come up. You can play around with this. It looks like you're coming mostly straight up with a little bit of back. Play around with it to find your power. Okay? There is no correct answer on this one. Probably the only wrong answer is to go straight up. They've said that's wrong. So, yep. So once you're on your chest, you do not have to think about pressing straight up. You can go in any direction backwards wherever the power is. That was the 1, 2, 3. Yep, great. There's the bench. Okay, we're on the first reaction to the side squat and then the front squat. How we're doing. First reaction. I've seen it before, but this is mostly a reaction.
Let's do this.
Let's do this. Man, you've got intensity. I wish I had that intensity. All right, that's what's going to take you far. You get into this, don't you? That is awesome. Music's good too. Everything is set. Every motion is set. That's exactly how you're supposed to be doing it. You know, where you place your foot every time, it's the same thing every time. We'll look at the grip there. We'll talk about that in a second. Yep, tight on the back. Oh, saw something there. Perhaps we could be under it a little more. 1 step, 2 steps, adjust. That's perfect. Bar path. Oh yeah, that's great.
Good.
Oh, look at that. It's just great. Depth, perfect. Oh, nope, that was my cat. Great.
Let's do this.
Let me watch it again. Something in the back. Writing down every set. That's exactly what you have to do. Motivation, trophies in the background. Everything's working. There's nothing beginner about this. This is all advanced. Okay, yeah. Step, step. Sideways, perfect. Bar path. Depth, great. Head looking great. Lower back, we'll look at that in a second. Belt training. Still looks good. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. From what we can see on the side view, we come up with the questions of, do you want to be more under the bar at liftoff? And what percentage do you want to do of your training do you want to do with a belt? Okay. It is absolutely important to do training with a belt, but lifting with a belt is different than lifting without a belt. It depends on how you're using your core. To properly use the belt, typically it becomes an immovable obstacle that you press out of. It becomes a muscle in itself to brace your core. And when you don't have the belt, you will have to be bracing your core without pushing into the belt. So the more you train without a belt, the more you're going to have to rely on your abs to stabilize the core. So start thinking to yourself, what percentage of your training do you want with a belt and what without? I do not know at what level the percentages should be, although I am very confident in saying that people must train without a belt for a certain percentage to engage their core. Like squatting and deadlifting without a belt actually train the core, and unless you're doing core work on the side, you need to train your core somehow, and that would be lifting without a belt. So figure out the percentage that you want to do on that. So do we want to be under the bar? Okay, we already talked about everything that's good. Well, also, these shoes are perfect. They add a great base to the squat. So those are, as long as they're comfortable, they're perfect shoes to be working on the squat with. Okay, let me... Okay, so you see how we are not under the bar at all. So the very first movement that you're going to do is actually a slight good morning. You're going to be using your back muscles to raise the bar off. Okay, so this is like a stiff-legged deadlift or a good morning. And is that going to throw off your stability? So here's where we are, and you're just going to pop it right up. Boom. Oh, there you go. I get it. That's totally doable with your strength on the deadlift. At some point, is the squat going to be so heavy that that's going to be a detrimental movement? Okay, so I don't have an example of where we could be, but we could be one step under. So as we're coming off, we're pushing upwards instead of hinging at our hips to get the bar off the rack. And if you are under and you pull it up, you pop it up, you're still just going to take your 1, 2, adjust steps, which you're perfect at, right? So 1, 2, adjust, you're ready to go. The difference would be if you were under the bar more and not coming up with a stiff-legged good morning deadlift, you would just have to take a bigger step back on the first and second step. Play around with that and see. Because this is not industry standard for getting the bar off right there. Everything else from the side, we looked at the bar path going up and down. Depth is great. Head position is totally fine. As long as you're not looking straight up, you're good. You can look forward. You can look down a little. It all depends what you want. This is probably the strongest position right there. Can't see anything with the back. It's probably okay. And we'll go to the front. Okay, here we go as a reaction from the squat from the front. Focused. Every single set. Focused. Perfect. Tight back. Feet shoulder width. Oh yeah, really getting the bar in. Gets up. 1, 2, adjust. Perfect. Down. Up. Yep, little knee. Down. No knee right there. Great. Good depth. Good quads. Breath. Yep, I see it. Good job. Great. Look at that. Yep. Feel it. Been there. Great set. Okay. Okay, let's go into the more specific parts. Here are the 3 questions, maybe 4 questions, and 1 watch out. Question 1. Do you like your thumbless grip? Okay, I thought I saw it on the side view, definitely see it on the front. That's totally fine. Absolutely 100% totally fine. It's also 100% totally fine to always train with wrist wraps for sure. Do you like a thumbless grip? A lot of people use their thumb grip. That's totally up to you. If you haven't experimented around with a full thumb grip, do. If you have and you like this better, stay with it. Okay? All I'm saying is you can grip it full thumb grip. If that, sometimes that helps because what people like to do, they like to grip and they like to do a little bend on the bar. The bending on the bar really screws it into the upper back right there. You've got great bar connection to your upper back already, so you probably don't even need it. Just if you've never used a thumb grip, play around with it. If you have, totally fine with where you are right now. Some would say that's too much up looking. I don't think so, because when we look at the side view, you're totally fine on your side view. That's nothing to worry about. There it was. Let's see if on the second one.
Sorry.
Yep, nope, it was only on the first. Here is the one, watch out 100%. You're going to see this knee right here, and it's not even a lot. It is literally not even a lot, okay? This is expert level adjusting, okay? But you are going to see the knee cave in a little bit, okay? We just never want that to happen. I mean, if you're doing a PR one-off, you're doing your personal best, you're in competition, get the weight up as any way you can. But in practice, especially on the first rep, watch the left knee cave in just a little bit, right when you're pushing it up. Ready? Thunk. There it was. Okay, you're not going to do it on your second.
Sorry.
Perfect. So obviously that was just a mental slip, and we just never, ever, when we don't have to, want that knee to cave in a little, so always be just a little bit aware of that, which, so that's a never do, unless you're going for a PR. Never let that knee cave in even a little bit, unless it's like your last rep of your last 5, like your last set of the day, and you want to get it, go ahead. Never on the first rep. Look at your left foot angle. Width is totally fine. That's individual. It looks like your left foot is pointed out a little bit more. Just ask yourself why you're doing that. If you have a good reason for that, stay with it. It's like I said in the beginning. We have to be comfortable and we have to avoid injuries by not putting ourselves in bad positions. So that is just a little bit out more than your other. And if it comes in a little, you're able to, here's what people like to do sometimes. They like to take their feet, and as they lift, as they push, they screw their feet outwards. But the feet obviously don't go outwards because they're on the ground. So they just, it's called that, what we talked about with the bench press, the external rotation. By externally rotating your arms, you put the socket into your shoulders. Now your feet, if you put a little bit of trying to go clockwise and anti-clockwise to spread them out, it takes your hips and it locks your hip joint, which is similar to your shoulder joint, not exactly the same, into it. So this foot would be spreading oh so little bit clockwise, and this one would be twisting oh so little bit counterclockwise, which would be driving the ball and socket of your hip into, if these were hips, it would do that. Obviously, people can overdo this, and as soon as they try to screw their feet into the floor way too much, they can't lift anything, because that's not what you're supposed to be focusing on. But just a little bit, and the more out your angle is of the foot, the less you can get that little bit of external rotation to get that tightness in the hip right there. Play around with it. If this works for you, absolutely within the realm of fine, but perhaps maybe a little more straight with a little bit of pressure. Once again, spreading the floor by just twisting just oh so little bit. Give it a try. And I totally apologize if people have said this before. I'm just going through the things we normally say. The biggest bang for your buck whenever we talk about squat or anything like that. All right, where are we? Don't be scared of leaning forward. I like how you're doing it. This is a pretty straight up and down, even though the bar's on a low bar squat position on your back. You're not really leaning forward too much. Don't be scared. This is more of an upright position. I love training the upright position because I figure when you're in competition, you can always lean forward a little bit more to get that little extra power. I love the more upright position of the squat. Just remember that if you're training and you ever lean forward a little bit more with your upper torso, so instead of being roughly, there's the angle right there, your angle is right there, that's not a horrible thing. It just changes it more into a deadlift form of a squat, right? A truly low bar, leaning forward, really pressing into the floor with your hips. This, a little more upright, is really going to be training those quads. I like training like this, that you're doing. So what I'm saying is if this feels comfortable, keep it going. And if you find yourself leaning forward a little more, as long as your back is straight, it's not a horrible thing. And many people do it with a little bit more forward lean. Mark Ripito with Starting Strength is a very big proponent of leaning more forward with hip drive, okay? So find what works for you, totally great. Also, what I want to ask you right here, and only you can answer this, how is your spine angle? So follow the cursor. I'm sorry I can't draw on this right now. Is your spine nice and straight and neutral? Or has it curved? See that curve right there? Is your lower back curved out right now? If your lower back is curved out right now, we do not want that. That's just not good. Okay? So if your upper thoracic spine is nice and vertical and then all of a sudden you have a massive curve down to your hips, that's going to hurt in the long run. And are we there right here? Are we super curved right there? Are we super curved? If we are, we're going to want to keep our spine much more neutral in a sense that, ready? You're super braced and super neutral right here. Spine's in a nice alignment, and we want that, we want the hips to go down. Even if we lean forward with the upper body, we want that spine to be nice in that alignment. The spine naturally has a little bit of curve right on your upper back and right on your lower back. There's a nice little curve naturally, and we want to keep it, that nice braced little curve in there. We don't want to immediately go to a big bow. We might be doing that right here. Check out and see if you are. If you are going down into a big bow, it's an easy fix. Lift, walk back, spread your knees. As you go down, you're sinking your spine into the hole that you're creating with your knees, okay? We're keeping the spine braced, and we are now going to sink down into the hole that we create. Yep, you just created a hole, didn't you, with your knees? Those are perfect, perfect where your knees should go. Now, we don't arch that lower back, we just sink the whole thing down. So remember, we are avoiding a huge arch right there. I don't know if it's happening. It might be. Only you can say that as you feel it. So give it a feel. See if you feel it. If you feel it, we want to avoid it in any way we can. Don't be scared of leaning forward. How is your left foot angle? Perfect. Great squat. Okay, here we are on the deadlift reaction. Deadlift reaction. Here we go. Hey, hey, oh, great music. Great setup. Shins, bar, breath. Wow. Oh my God. Wow. So good. So good. Oh my God. Wow. That's awesome. I'm going to have to work. You should be proud of that. You got it. Nice. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Wow.
It's my set!
Wow. What a set. What a set. Okay, great. We'll be back in a second. Okay, so basically the specifics on deadlift is going to be me saying what's really good about it. Your deadlift is beyond my capabilities to improve, quite frankly. So let's look through it. The intensity is great. Deadlift is, I find, some of the hardest exercises to sit and do a set of. So you really need to pump yourself up on it. Approach the bar. Great shoes for the deadlift. Okay, look how close that bar is to your shins. That is perfect. Foot width literally doesn't matter, okay? Whatever's more powerful for you. You're doing conventional style, obviously, deadlift. Some people have a little wider. Some people have in there. It's all personal. Mixed grip, it's exactly the grip I use. Be very careful about your bicep. Mixed grip, if you start activating your curl muscle right there, it can tear, and it has teared with professionals. Okay, so we are literally just letting our arms hang. We are squeezing the heck out of it, because activating your forearms by squeezing the bar activates the forearms, which just what is it called, muscle radiation. The more you activate that grip, the more your other muscles are going to activate. Just be careful of squeezing the forearm with a mixed grip that you don't activate that bicep. You just do not want to. It will tear if you are incredibly unlucky. Great shoes, great bar position. Head position is totally fine. Oh, look at that back position. Now this is the straight back of a protected back. Hips are high in a good way. Some people are going to start their hips down here, and that's going to be way too much quads. Your hips are like literally perfect for, it's just perfect. The back is straight. I don't know if you have a belt on. Doesn't look like it, so good for you. You're using all your abs. You've got all your air in there, and you're ready to go. Yeah, look at that. Your hips and your shoulders go up at the same time. These are basically straight up and down. It is coming directly up your shins in the least amount of movement possible. It's just perfect, as far as I can tell. So, here, ready, and, nope, not that one. The two before, ready? And there. I gotta stop it. Okay. You can, I would say, lock straight up without overarching. We see a little bit of overarching here too. This is the classic deadlifter. You get to the top and you feel so good that you just give a little bit of overarching with your spine. I do it. My wife does it. Everyone does it because it feels so good, because you're lifting heavy weights and you don't have to do it. I'm not even going to say it's going to hurt you ever. I haven't really heard of people getting hurt by a little overarching at the top right here, but you can see it. And some people would say it's okay to train a little bit over, because when you get the heaviest weight, you've got to lock it out, right? So you are training a little bit past vertical. This is a little bit past what you need in competition to get a clean lift. You decide. I tend to not do it all the time, just because I'm a scaredy cat. You don't need to do it. I think you need to do it a couple times just to have fun. I don't know what to tell you. It's probably totally okay. You don't need to go that far on the lockout. You be the judge. I don't think it's a big deal whatsoever. And it's definitely fun. And yeah, lock it out. Boom. So that one you didn't overarch too much. A little bit there. So possible advices that might help you in the sumo. I started pulling some sumo for fun. Okay. Some people pull heavier with sumo. Have you tried sumo pulling? Do you know if you can pull more with sumo? I like conventional. Conventional, I think, has more transfer to the squat. So I think you're really training your squat and your deadlift with a conventional style like this, and it looks like you're super strong on conventional. So I highly doubt that pulling sumo would be stronger for you. I do know it's not stronger for me. I pull stronger conventional. My wife pulls sumo and she's so much stronger sumo. It's personal. I do know that I love training sumo just because it hits different muscles and I want to be super well-rounded. So if you have tried sumo and you don't like it, don't do it. If you never tried sumo pulling, try it out. You might like it. It might not be your competition style, but it definitely works different muscles than any of the other lifts you're doing. It's fun, and I think it's worth 2 sets of 5 once a week, maybe 3 sets of 5 once a week, just for fun. It's definitely something to look into. Also, we're doing sets of 5, right? So grip strength is an issue. Now, this is going to be highly controversial in the field of weightlifting. I am on the side of, sometimes when you get tired and you want to train your body, straps and hooks. Here's what I'm saying. You want to get a good workout with your posterior chain and your legs, and you want to bust out a great deadlift day training session, right? You've got one good training session a week on deadlift. At some point, your grip is going to become weak. So do you want to fail that day because of your grip? Or do you want to maximize some serious big muscle work? So at the end of my workouts, when my grip is failing, I use straps. And I often, on the very last sets, when I just want to work the muscles that matter for me, not my grip, I use a hook. Here's what it is. So here they are, $13 from Amazon, right? They go around your wrist, they hook onto the bar, they take your grip absolutely out of the lift, right? And you literally just pull the bar. I am going to say they are essential if you ever do the 5-second going down on the eccentric training that I'm going to talk about later. They're essential for that. And they're probably okay for when you're really tired during your deadlift day. I understand the opposing argument. People say, why would you want to lift something? Like I get it. I understand the opposing argument. But here's the thing. When you're in a meet, you are literally lifting 3 deadlifts. Attempt 1, attempt 2, attempt 3. Your forearms are going to be there, okay? They're going to be there for you. So if you go into a 50-minute training session, your forearms are going to be wiped way before your back and your legs are wiped, okay? So when I train, when my forearms are wiped, I put on the hooks so I can keep training the muscles that matter. Your forearms are never going to fail you in a competition. So that's my view on it. For $13, try them out. Don't use them all the time. No, of course not. But when your forearms fail, maybe it's time to go on to straps and hooks. Weightlifting straps are, just look them up. Weightlifting straps, they're like $4 from anywhere. They're a combination of you gripping the hooks, you don't grip at all. The weightlifting straps, you grip a little bit. You can just look them up. They're a combination. So I'm also a fan of those, but I always start the workout without straps or hooks. All right, for the strict curl, I've only been strict curling for a year. It was not part of my weightlifting experience. It was not part of the powerlifting community that I moderated. Chances are that everybody else and you know more about the strict curl than I do. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I do, and you got to understand I have no clue whether it's good or it's bad. I am 1 year into my strict curl journey. I absolutely love it. I think it's awesome, but I am not an expert. Reaction to the video, good setup. Inside grip just like me. I love it. God, I love the curl. Yup. Yup. Oh, that's a look of death. Was that what you were thinking? Your training partner said all the way down.
All the way down.
And then there's a look of death. Was that what you were thinking? That's awesome. That is awesome.
That's it.
Yep.
Extend it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love the strict curl. Back in a second. So like I said before, I'm a newbie on the strict curl, right? So I just have questions. I'm just trying to learn how to train this the best way possible for myself too. So a couple things that I'm thinking about. I'm just throwing it out there. You tell me, right? I think the inside grip is the strongest. I think gripping it here is stronger than gripping it on the outside for me. So I think that grip is the strongest. Cooper grip, well, basically a lot of people grip like that. Cooper grips like that. I know some very strong women grip on the outside. But my friend and I, he does more on the inside, and he was always an outsider. So I like that inside grip, right? I've noticed that the inside grip gives me a hurt on one specific tendon, right there, like right in there. If I work it too much, right inside of there gets really sore. And my friend got hurt right in there too. And I really think that is from the inside grip. I don't know if you've ever felt that, but you know, it is a severely sore tendon that gets sore really. I mean, like I can press it and feel, I have no injuries and I can press it and I feel pain. It is a significantly tender tendon right in there. And I think that the inside grip hurts it. So I don't actually do a lot of inside grip curling, just because I know if I pushed it to the max, that tendon's going to go out of this world. So I do a lot of accessory exercises. I don't know how other people feel. That's just me personally. I love that I find I can get up higher weight when I start with the maximum angle of my elbow allowed. You see how it's not totally straight down? You see how you've got that little bit of angle there? They're totally going to let that go in competition. Absolutely. They're going to say curl and you're going to be fine. I find that I keep that little angle just like you're doing, and it allows me to lift more weight. So I'm just thinking, you tell me, I don't know, I'm just thinking that the more we can just start right there with that angle, as opposed to the bar being, as opposed to our arms being totally straight, the more we can start just like that, the more we can lift. I don't know, but that's how I've been doing it lately. Obviously, if it's too much of an angle, if it's too much, they're never gonna say start, right? So we got to find right there. And I've been thinking, I haven't been doing it, okay, but I've just been thinking, I love training on the wall because that mimics competition. But I'm thinking of doing some accessory work where I just do a curl, but I'm standing off the wall, just to get a little bit more of my muscles involved. It's just a thought. It's more of a compound movement, and then I think I could specialize on the wall. Who knows, right? Who knows? So I think sometimes I'm going to train not on the wall. So thanks. Jesus, an hour? That's awesome. There you go. I'll try to speed it up for in post-production, but there's an hour looking at lifts, right? I'll make another video of what I do for curl, just for fun, and I'm going to make another video talking a lot more about what's called that eccentric training, so you can give it a try and see if you like it. So there'll be maybe one more video, but that's the reactions, the best I can do as a beginner coach. I am entirely sorry if you've heard these things before. Okay, I'm definitely not trying to be insulting. These are the things that go through my mind. If you've heard them before, I'm entirely sorry. If you haven't heard some of these things before, that's exciting to me because I get to share what's in my mind. All right, be well. Thanks for watching.